Is it okay for Canucks fans to cheer for the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Edmonton Oilers? As my daughter would say, yuck. But here's one thing that won't make you say yuck. Locked On Canucks, baby.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and thanks for hitting the play button on today's episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggsy, Canucks writer and credentialed media member for Daily Hive Vancouver. And before we dive into this show, we want to thank you for listening to Locked On Canucks, your team every day. Subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. On today's show, Kyle tells me we got a big comment corner, which is always exciting. The Calgary Flames also fired their coach. Could they replace their coach with a former Canuck? We know how much they love Canucks. And of course, we gotta touch on this dreaded question. Is it okay to cheer for the Maple Leafs or the Edmonton Oilers? Oh, it makes me sick to my stomach just saying that out loud. But before I puke everywhere, Kyle, I'll ask you first, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man, and I'm surprised you're not cheering for the Leafs or the Oilers. You're a father now. You're a nicer dude. You're probably Canada first, knowing you. I've met a lot of those people around me. The people who have gotten older in life and have children now, and again, they feel as if they don't have to connect all their hockey loyalty to the Canucks, especially when they're not playing in the playoffs. Because apparently, when the Leafs win the cup, they win the cup. These fans from Vancouver, there's some of them out there, for real. If a Canadian team wins the cup, they feel as if they're part of that celebration, and it makes me sick. It doesn't make sense. It smells like phony when that happens. I can't help but feel away when that happens.
Man, Kyle, you and I might be on the same page on this one, eh? It's funny. I talk to a lot of people, most of them casual fans, some of them not casual fans, some of them are pretty intense Canuck fans, and almost everyone I've talked to in my little bubble is cheering for the Maple Leafs and Oilers. And I'm feeling nauseous today, man. I really am.
Bro, but again, let me tell you something. It's, again, maybe it has a lot to do with their nationality. And again, when you get older, for whatever reason, I don't know, like you just start falling more and more in love with Canada, which is okay. Cause when we get older, and as we are getting older, I think we appreciate the country that we live in more as well, because damn, we're just blessed. We're just blessed to be living here. I get it. But at the same time, you leave the door open for Canucks fans to cheer for these teams when they're in the playoffs, because the Canucks suck. You get what I'm saying, bro? If the Canucks were always in the dance, let's say the Canucks made the playoffs this year. If we got eliminated in the first round, I swear, less of those Canucks fans would transition over to the Oilers or the Leafs,
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I get that sense too. Again, some people I've talked to, I'd be shocked if they ever said they were going to cheer for the Maple Leafs or Oilers. But again, now you've had the Canucks out of the dance, not being in contention for a 10+ year period. And now people are starting to warm up to the idea of let's just bring the cup back to Canada. Here's my take on the situation. Is it okay for Canucks fans to cheer for the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Edmonton Oilers? I'm going to go and say yes. If I'm not cheering for them, and I'll get into that quickly, but if it makes you happy, if you do want to cheer for a Canadian team in the playoffs, even if it is the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Edmonton Oilers, if that's what makes you happy, go for it. Sports fandom should not have that many rules. That being said, you'll never catch me cheering for the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Edmonton Oilers, because I believe that sports, to make sports interesting and fun, you need to have a little bit of hate. You need to have a little bit of hate in your blood. If you just love every team, there's no point being a sports fan, okay? It's fair just to love the game for what it is, but to really have the intensity and really belong to the brotherhood, which is cheering for a certain team. A team's got to have rivals, okay? And the Edmonton Oilers and Canucks, they've been division rivals for a long time. I thought most of Canada was on board with hating the Maple Leafs based on having Toronto coverage rammed down our throats for decades now for you and I, Kyle. So yeah, no, you're not going to catch me cheering for the Oilers and the Maple Leafs. Is it okay for certain Canucks fans to cheer for them? I'm not gonna be a fan gatekeeper, man. If you want to do it, go for it.
Man.
But know that you make me sick.
You're a father, man. You're just a nice guy now, man. I wouldn't encourage it at all. I want to keep all the loyalty to the city, to the West Coast, the best coast of Canada. Save it. And you think Toronto and Edmonton would be cheering for us? No chance. No chance. Especially not Toronto. You know
Yeah.
what they're doing? They're sleeping. They're sleeping. They're sleeping when we're playing. You think they're gonna stay up and what? No, they're not gonna do it. But here we are, being nice. I guess you got to lead with love. We always promote that too, lead with love. But if you're
Not Oilers and
no,
Maple
no,
Leaf
and
love.
let me say this too, okay? If you're a Canucks fan out there and you're cheering for the Leafs and the Oilers, right? You're exuding is that even a word? I don't even know. But you're using your hockey energy on hoping and praying that those two teams, excel in the playoffs and move forward. What's wrong with you? We don't have a lot of that hockey energy in us, okay? There's a lot of things to do in life. And right now, you should be putting all your hockey energy in that 3% chance. But here you are using it for the chance of seeing Toronto and Edmonton again advance in the playoffs. Save it for the 3% chance at Connor Bedard. But, whatever. Am I going to get canceled for that? Because I'm a fan gatekeeper. I'm trying to make some rules right now. Just want the city to be more loyal to just the city, especially in the world of sports. Come on. Come on.
Yeah,
Come
and
on.
for those fans who haven't been paying attention necessarily, that 3% chance that Kyle's alluding to of drafting Connor Bedard, they are the 11th best lottery odds, aka the worst odds among any team with a shot at Bedard. But hey, magic can happen. You got to believe in magical things in life. And the Canucks haven't won a draft lottery in the entire history, most cursed franchise in NHL history. And again, this draft lottery is next Monday, May 8th. So Kyle, if Bedard wins, I already said I'm gonna go streaking, but I'm a father, so I might not do that. But you and I definitely
Yeah.
gonna celebrate, man. When it happens, not if it happens, but when it happens.
Yeah. Who knows what will happen that night if it does happen, and I'm saving my hockey energy for that. Yo, I kind of again, I kind of get it, right? We've watched such bad hockey over the last decade plus. Maybe a lot of people have so much left around that they kind of want to feel a part of the game, and to do so, you gotta put it out there that you're cheering for one of the teams to win that game. I get it. I get it. I don't get it, but I get it. That being said, I do think you can still get a lot out of hockey and still be in the game by just enjoying hockey itself. I've been doing it more, watching more hockey, enjoying the skill, and again, not having to actually hope that Toronto or Edmonton win this thing. That being said, I will say this. I think it's great for the game if Connor McDavid wins the cup. Okay, I didn't say the Oilers. I said Connor McDavid. If people are
Yeah.
talking like that, they get a pass.
No, I think that's a cop out. Kyle, come on, man. You're gonna give him a pass for cheering for McDavid, but not the Oilers. For McDavid to win, the Oilers got to win.
No, no,
They
no,
they do
no,
go
no,
they do go hand in hand.
no, no, no. No, no, no. It's good for the game. I think obviously he needs more exposure, but just having McDavid win championships, it just adds years and years and years to the growth of the game when it comes to what's actually happening on the ice. And right now, it's super, super, super entertaining, dude. That first round, and I know it's still going on. Maybe there's some recency bias because again, I'm watching more games now, and I'm getting myself back into being a real hockey fan. So again, maybe that's where this bias in the statement is coming from. But that was some of the best sporting, like levels of sports. I'm at a loss for words that I've seen in a long time. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think there's recency bias to a degree there, Kyle. But for the most part, the first round over the past number of years, I think it's just been absolutely electric, entertaining stuff. Like even last year, we had Game 7 Toronto Tampa, we had Game 7 Edmonton LA. Like there was some high drama in the first round last year, but there's just so much parity in the NHL nowadays that you look at all of the wildcard teams. Like I think Winnipeg, if they weren't so busy, pointing fingers at each other, they could have beat Vegas. Seattle beats
No, they
Colorado,
couldn't.
Florida
No, they
beats.
couldn't. No,
Yeah,
no,
they
no,
could
no,
have.
no,
Like
no, no, no. That
Winnipeg
wasn't gonna
talent
happen.
wise, no.
It
Winnipeg
wasn't gonna
talent
happen.
wise had the horses to keep up with Vegas, and they just couldn't get out of their own way. But again, this isn't a Winnipeg Jets podcast here. The Seattle Kraken beat the Avalanche. The Panthers beat the Bruins. The Islanders were an overtime goal away from going to Game 7 against Carolina. Like, parity is alive and well in the NHL. And in terms of the playoff action, I personally love it. I love the drama. So hook it into my veins. Give me a little bit more. Kyle, before we get to break, I wanted to ask you one more question. I think you already answered it, but who would you rather see win the cup, the Oilers and the Maple Leafs?
Dude, Connor McDavid.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you.
Yeah,
I think it's better for the game if McDavid wins it. I just don't know if I can deal with all the incessant Leaf fans that I've come across and
dude.
the
Okay.
Toronto Maple Leafs just on TV like constantly.
I know
It's
you're so,
yeah,
okay.
I'm
Okay, I'll
sad.
say this. I'll say this too before we get to break. I didn't really have that big of a problem with how the fan base there was celebrating, and I even heard that there was cases of beer being sent to the dressing room already. They were celebrating hard in Toronto. 19 years is a long time. That's not 7 years. That's not a 12-year drought. It's not even a 15-year drought. That's a 19-year drought. That's a lot of pent up emotions. Okay, go celebrate, have a good time. Hopefully nobody died or got hurt. Just have a good time. It's all good. When those things happen, it unites people, and it's not for the world. It's not for the world. I mean, the whole world is looking. It's for the city. It's for you and your neighbors. So celebrate. Stick the middle finger to the rest of the world. It's all good. Didn't feel didn't feel a way about the over the top celebrations coming out of Toronto after just one playoff round victory. And also, dude, the Canucks could be on that boat too. Okay, it could be 19 years of this still. That possibility is still out there. It's
Yeah,
the truth.
it's
There could be
funny.
another decade of this. It's sad. It's scary.
Yeah, it's funny. I was gonna say, oh, the Canucks haven't won a first round since 2011, but I forgot that they won in the bubble 3 years ago now. So it feels like a lifetime ago. It feels like it didn't really even happen, but it has only been 3 years since the Canucks won a playoff series.
Hmm.
Kyle, you talked about sticking up the middle finger. Speaking of which, the Calgary Flames stuck the middle fingers up at both Brad Treliving and Darryl Sutter, with Darryl Sutter being fired earlier this morning. On the other side here, I do want to talk about a couple former Canucks coaches and whether they might be the guy for the Calgary Flames. We all know how much the Calgary Flames love their ex-Canucks. But first, I need to tell you about a product that I literally use every day. AG1 by Athletic Greens. Maybe you're like me. You want to be healthy and eat well, but it's always easier said than done. That's no longer the case with AG1. With one delicious scoop of AG1 and a glass of water each day, you're absorbing 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, adaptogens to help start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All the things. It can be hard and expensive to keep track of multiple different supplements and vitamins, not to mention how hard it can be on your stomach. AG1 costs you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1 year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
Who needs health insurance when you got Athletic Greens? You're back. You're back on Locked On Canucks. Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs. Man, oh man. We're talking about a lot of things in the world of sports. We've talked a lot about other teams, right? The Maple Leafs, the Oilers, and now we're gonna care about who's gonna be the next coach of the Calgary Flames. When I say Trevor Beggs is an older person, he's a father. He spreads the love. He spreads the love. Okay, if I was in charge of the show, we'd be talking about. I'd be talking about Artem Chubarov right now. Okay, I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying, man.
We can do a show on Artem Chubarov if you want. That's no problem with me.
Number 13, right? I think, right? Or
Number
yeah.
13 in your heart, and on the program, number 1 in our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Okay. Let's talk about it. Green, Boudreaux potentially gonna be calling Calgary home. Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm reading between the tea leaves a bit here, but I'll bring it up for a couple of reasons. So, obviously, Darryl Sutter, for those who don't know, has been canned by the Calgary Flames. I think he had 2 years left on a deal that paid him $4 million per season. So
Whoa.
nice little payday for Darryl Sutter there as he goes back to the farm fields of Alberta. Um, I'm gonna bring up Boudreaux first and foremost because he's pretty much like the anti-Sutter, although he's a veteran coach, obviously, right? At 67, maybe even 68 years old by now. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, Sutter's obviously a bit of a hard ass, not a positive guy, very much a systems coach. Whereas Boudreaux is the opposite, like free flowing. And I think Boudreaux could work in Calgary because that team, I think they're so structured already that they may not necessarily need a lot of structure. They might need a guy like Boudreaux to just kind of give him the pat on the back, give him a nice big warm Boudreaux hug, and just go forward with things. And then Elliot Friedman actually this morning on the Jeff Merrick show kind of like jokingly suggested Boudreau as well. So I wasn't the only one thinking about it. So I don't know, Kyle, could you see Boudreau as the next coach of the Calgary Flames?
I don't care. I don't care, dude. I don't care, but I can see it happen based on the rationale, right? You said the whole, he's the polar opposite, and that interesting point about the team already having some structure implemented over the last couple of years, maybe a sprinkle of this free flow. It's all love over here can go a long way for the Calgary Flames. But again, I hope that's not the case. I hope that's
Yeah.
not the case, man.
I mean, we always talk about leading with love here on Locked On Canucks. Every Dares know that. We lead with love. And Boudreau also leads with love. And I feel like that's what the Calgary Flames need right now because, some of the reporting coming out is that, they weren't necessarily going to fire Sutter, but they did exit interviews with all their players and came to the conclusion that they got to can this guy. And that is a bad sign for a
It
coach,
happens, man. It
Yeah,
happens.
it's interesting.
Yeah, man. I wonder if that's ever going to happen between us, like if we can't stand each other anymore.
Exit interviews with the boss and we would just be a
Talking
big
shit about each
playing
other.
session. Yeah, pretty much,
Yeah.
man.
I
Pretty
always want to
much.
talk about other teams and third line centers in April. Come on, man. We got to give the people what they want. Speaking of which, last week I did want to do the Corey Schneider episode, right? And it was
Yeah.
our worst, like our lowest listenership episode of the week. Hey, man, maybe it was the day of the week. Who knows? But Beggsy, you did it, man. This is why you're the boss because you just know
Come
how
on.
to press the button.
You know what? I've been writing I've been writing about this team for 10 years for people who don't know my background. And I know what gets the clicks. I love talking about old stuff, but it doesn't really get the clicks then and there. Maybe I think people might go back and discover that episode because that is what they call evergreen content. They might go back
Ooh,
and check out
plug.
that episode maybe in the summer when they're scrolling through Locked On Canucks on their podcast feed or on YouTube. So no
Okay.
need to beat yourself up. It was a fun episode and go check that out. What if the Canucks had ever traded Corey Schneider? It was a fun episode Kyle and I recorded last week.
It
Speaking of things
was.
that weren't fun, I would say the Travis Green era in Vancouver had some fun moments, but overall wasn't really a fun era. Now, Travis Green was in the news again last week because he did his first interview in a long time with Thomas Drance at The Athletic. Talked about some of his regrets coaching the Canucks. I did think about Travis Green for Calgary as well, to be honest. I know he's interviewed for some NHL jobs, hasn't landed anything. And one of the problems with Sutter as well was that he wasn't great with the young guys. And he admitted that he would play veterans. He would move young guys along really slowly. And in Vancouver, you saw some success with Travis Green and the young stars, right? Pettersson gets put immediately at center. Quinn Hughes goes and plays with Chris Tanev in the top four right away. So I think Green deserves some credit for how he developed guys. I think there's some other holes in his development record when you look at his time in Utica and some of the guys who did make an impact or did not make an impact with the Canucks more specifically. I know you're going to say you don't care, but maybe I'll ask you, between Boudreau and Green, who is more likely to be hired by the Flames, if either of them, and which one would be the better fit for the Flames?
I think Boudreau. I feel as if that hire is so important that it'd probably be harder to get Green on a shorter term, I think if is Green that appealing of like a free agent head coach? I don't think so. I don't know. Not for a team like Calgary. Oh, come on. I don't even care, dude. I don't even care, dude.
I got you out of it for a second though,
I
man.
don't even care, man. Speaking of coaching, man, like, did you hear what Talkett said about Quinn Hughes? And I think he was on John Scott's podcast, and I got to listen to the whole episode, and maybe we'll touch more on it tomorrow because it's kind of like that important / not really important question, but again, it's a really important question, like who's going to be the next Canucks captain. And he said some things about Quinn Hughes that I kind of looked at and analyzed. Okay, Rick Tocchet on Quinn Hughes' potential being named captain. He's projecting to that level. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Huggy has really kind of made that trajectory to be a captain. What has really made that trajectory to be a captain? Okay, so damn, that's a lot. And I think he did also say something about Pettersson being super quiet. So
yeah, that's the
Hughes,
one comment I read from the pod.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm curious to take a listen, and I think we should
me
definitely
too.
chat about it more later in
After
the
we
week if
listen,
more things pop up. But
yeah,
but yeah, I think that's fascinating, and it certainly sounds like by everything we heard based on the end of season media availability and all the reporting, that Quinn Hughes is going to be the next captain of the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah.
That's certainly what it seems like right now. Things could
Yeah.
obviously change. It's a long summer, but at this point, I would be surprised if it wasn't Quinn Hughes, which is kind of crazy to say because I thought and we all thought it was going to be Pettersson.
Yeah. I got to think about this more before we really talk about it, because right now I'm feeling like, okay, it's fine. That's cool. That's dope. That's the right decision. D-man being a captain of this team, a little bit different. That's cool. We need different. We need change. But let me listen to that episode and let's talk about this more thoroughly on an episode later this week. For real.
I think it's a great plan. But for now, let's talk about the commenters. You know, we're nothing without you guys. Shout out to the everydayers. Shout out to everyone tuning into Locked On Canucks. Let's get to comment corner on the other side. You're listening to Locked On Canucks.
You're back on Locked On Canucks. Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs, your team every day. Shout out to the everydayers. Hey, shout out to the people who are not even here today with us. Okay, we're sending you love too, because Beggsy and I lead with love. We're from Surrey. After all, speaking of love, a lot of comments. Sometimes we don't get the love comment. Okay, in the beginning it was because of my voice. I almost got fired by the ups. For real. More on that in the documentary, okay? For real. Things are getting crazy, okay? Things are getting crazy. Speaking of the hate, I think I got a hate comment here, okay? Nelly Furtado and Nickelback suck. Now, on our last episode, we spoke about some Nickelback songs that were just hitters. And again, this dude, Matt, I think is his name, said Nelly Furtado and Nickelback suck. He also said, didn't your parents introduce you to good music like Zeppelin, Metallica, AC/DC, Aerosmith, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Tragically Hip? What the F? He swore there, man. He swore there. You asshole. Your parents failed you. If that's what they told you to listen to, Nelly Furtado and Nickelback, that is. First of all, stop talking about my mom. All right? Stop talking about my mom. Fuck you. Okay? You're talking about my mom. My parents failed me. And second of all, dude, you think my parents, my Hindu parents, my Findu parents, straight from Fiji, were like, hey, Kyle, listen to this. Listen to Nelly Furtado. I found that stuff myself on the streets, okay? And third.
On the streets of Surrey.
And third of all, and finally, don't you ever talk about Nelly Furtado like that again. That's all.
BC's finest. Nelly Furtado is an absolute legend. Nothing but respect. Nothing but respect for Nelly. Yeah, Matt, it's funny you say that because, you know, my parents certainly introduced me to classic rock, but my parents hate Metallica. They hate AC/DC. Ooh. They're not big Tragically Hip fans either. So it's funny. I mean, I like all those artists you suggested, but yeah, my parents were a little bit pickier with their classic rock selection.
And none of those bands have anything on Nickelback, okay? For real.
Oh, no, that's not true. Holy.
No. Come on, West Coast bias, dude. Come on, somebody's got to look out for the West Coast, right?
West Coast bias.
I told Matt
I'm gonna say that West Coast bias to the Canucks, man. No, I'm not going to bat for Nickelback that far.
Yo, I told Matt I was gonna wear my AC/DC shirt today, but I forgot to do so, and I'm happy I did, because why would I?
Well,
why would I do something for Matt after you talked about my mom like that?
I was just gonna say that. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Come on,
exactly.
Matt. Come on,
Next comment. Okay, this is from John. Subscribed. Keep it going, guys. Keep cranking out content, especially now that it's a slow period for the Canucks. It's an opportunity to grow your following as well as honing your skills. What a kind dude, okay? And it's never slow season when you're following this team, the Vancouver Canucks. It's never slow. It's never slow, man, for real. And
yeah, that was literally part of the pitch when they headhunted Kyle and I to do this show. It was, you know, the Canucks, there's always something to talk about, and we need someone to be exacerbated and talk about that pain this market feels. So I hope for you guys, you know, someday, and for us too, man, Jesus, I hope that one day we are covering a long Canucks playoff run, because my God, this fan base definitely deserves it. And thanks, John, for subscribing and listening.
Yeah, thanks, John, for the kind words too, and just putting some love in there, you know, hoping the best for us too. And if you're watching this, man, it's the beginning of the week. I'm sending you love too, man. For real. Have a great week. Get your goals done. Take care of yourself. Call your mom. Text your mom. For real. Spend time with your mom. Live in the moment. And again, for the third time, because we're from Surrey, lead with love this week. Beggsy, Kyle, Locked On Canucks. Sign us out, okay, Beggsy?
All right. Well, this is another episode of Locked On Canucks in the books. It is your team every day. Again, shout out to those everydayers for following along. It's now 2 months that Kyle and I have been on the job. March 1st was day one. So shout out to the everydayers who have, joined the bandwagon along the journey. And if this is your first time listening, welcome. We love you. We hope you come back for another episode. Later on this week, I keep talking about player reviews. We will start them this week. I've started the prep work, Kyle. We're going to do it. But got a couple other topics to talk about. Got to touch on those Abbotsford Canucks and Archie Bains. I do want to talk about Bo Horvat at one more time now that his season is finished. I'll tell you that for free. And we might do another what if episode with Matthew Tkachuk, because that guy is making noise right now in the playoffs for those Florida Panthers. But for now, I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bhawan. Make sure you subscribe or follow us for free wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll catch you next time here on Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.